3 minutes, Lynn. Yeah, each person has 3 minutes.
Yeah, they can yield their time. Yeah. Let's take our seats, please.
You're doing a great job as a timekeeper, especially
far.
since we're
Okay,
scheduled.
just a little bit.
That makes your job easier, doesn't it?
Yes, they'll do their things.
But it's so good to have
This
time.
next little while will be more, I'll have more work to do. Let's take our seats.
They find their seats at 12:48. Our best interest to take our seats so that we can get out as quickly as possible. Yes, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, once again, friends, can you please take your seats? Yeah. Only we had a bell, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we need that gap.
We're just trying to keep things on time so we can get home. You can hear me?
Yeah.
You can't hear me. Okay. Thank you. Look at that. Can you all hear me? Barely? Barely?
Not at all.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. I tend to be loud, so. All right, welcome back. And we're going to begin now the next session. And actually, we're going to begin with Ron Brayman, who's going to be leading us in an Indigenous song.
Yes, got it. Oh.
Okay, my name is Ron Raymond from Good Shepherd Fort Hall. And I'm gonna sing 2 verses of what was termed the ghost dance by Settler. 2 verses of the ghost dance song. In our Shoshone way, they were just called circle dance songs. And they're very sacred to Shoshone people. We usually do this dance in the springtime. And it's meant to wake up the earth and help the berries grow and the fish be plentiful. And so this song is about the sunflowers, and it's talking about how they're really big and pretty, and I thought it was a good fall song. So this is the sunflower song. Yo this is a song that I learned in Taizé, France, from the Taizé community. And I thought it was beautiful. It was originally in German, auf Deutsch. They did have the English verse, which I made more prominent. And my good friend Brian Hudson did a translation in Shoshone. Well, it's not really a translation. If we did Shoshone translation, it wouldn't line up in meter. So I asked him to make something fit the melody, and he came up with "We're waiting for our Father. We're waiting for Him." And I just wanted to demonstrate, I thought that the melody really lended itself to the style of a circle dance song, and I love that. I get kind of emotional with this song because I remember during the pandemic, we were leading service online. We used our tech grant to get some equipment to do that. And I remember one of my parishioners came, and I remember she was breaking down singing the song, and so that just kind of flooded me with that memory. But I'm going to play it on the piano now, and I'd like you to join me in the English, and then if I venture off into the Shoshone, just sing in the English. And I'm going to start with a little bit of a foray.
Thank you, Rod. All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Amy Brugman to come forward and to give us a report of the Resolutions Committee.
Hello. Can you hear me? I have a little voice, so help me. Okay. All right. I can only lean so far. I can't read. I tell you, 2 weeks ago, I was an alternate delegate. And due to some unforeseen circumstances, I was called forth, which I gladly accepted because I've done this before. And then I learned that I was also on the Resolutions Committee, about which I knew very little. And then, due to further unforeseen circumstances, the chair was unable to serve. So, here I am. Given my meteoric rise to this position, I ask for your indulgence and the Lord's hand as we work through the resolutions. My committee is wonderful, so let's get started. We have 4 resolutions submitted for this session. I'm going to start with resolution number 4. Do you all have your copies with you, or some may not? Okay. I'll read the title as drafted by the originator of these resolutions. Resolution number 4. In support of Uyghur people and all those unjustly killed and persecuted in China, by taking action to protest the ongoing cruelty and genocide of the Uyghur people and other ethnic minorities and religious groups, including Christians, by the Chinese Communist Party, by divesting of all Chinese or Chinese-affiliated companies in our diocesan's portfolio, and by encouraging all members of the Episcopal Church to carefully consider the impact of their purchase of Chinese goods. The committee submits this resolution, which was timely filed, for the discernment of the convention without recommendation.
Thank you, Amy. So is there a motion to adopt this resolution? There has to be a second first. Okay, there has to be a second. The table would have to be seconded. There's a motion to table. In order for that to proceed, that has to be seconded. Is there a second to the motion to table this resolution? Second. To table. Okay. Okay, so at this point, we're going to take a vote, and the vote is to table Resolution 4, which Amy Brugman, Chair of the Resolutions Committee, just shared. Are we clear? Okay, so that'll be a simple voice vote. All in favor of tabling this resolution? Aye. Opposed? Nay. Okay, we're going to have to use our cards on that one, all right? In this case, the green will indicate that you are in favor of tabling. The red... Okay, thank you. All right, let's take a moment for some discussion before we take another vote.
My name is John Miller. I'm senior warden at Weiser. I don't think this resolution has anything to do with the church. We're not a committee of the United States government. We're not the senators or the House of Representatives, which they do nothing anyway. But we need to not get this involved in the church. This should have been left at the front door. Thank you.
Would you please go to the microphone? Yes. And I should say you have 3 minutes.
I think every one of us should look around our house, especially in the kitchen, and see what doesn't come from China. And then another thought is, yes, it's a church, and maybe we ought to be looking at things that have to do with church, uplifting our Lord and Savior. I think it would do little or no good to do something like that at this time. Thank you.
You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Dennis Reed from St. Stephen's Church in Boise. I believe the scope of this resolution is in the purview of the church, that how we spend our money, as we heard in our presentation this morning, is our call as stewards of all creation. And at the same time, I'm not sure as written we have enough information to take this call in particular as seriously as it has been put forward. I don't know that as a convention we have the knowledge as to the financial wherewithal of every investment we make. Without a list of that or even a guess at that, I'm not sure we as a body have enough information to answer this call as it would be required. Thank you.
Are we taking comments on the resolution or on the table?
On the tabling.
Tabling. Would one of the authors like to speak?
The author is the Reverend Karen Hunter. There is a narrative at the bottom of the resolution. If you have it, you can read some of the background she put in it.
Joel?
I'd just like to call the question to a vote on the tabling.
That has to be seconded. Is there? All right. All right. All right, so right now there's a motion which has been seconded to finish the discussion on the tabling of the motion. Is there any further comment on that? Then we're going to take a vote. And this time we'll use the cards. And as I indicated before, in this case, the green card will be to approve the tabling of the motion, and the red card will be against that. Okay? So all in favor of tabling this resolution? Just those in favor.
Give us a couple minutes
Yeah.
to count, please.
No, only greens are up.
Only the
Only
greens
greens
should be
are
up
up.
at this point in time. Okay, have we counted? Not yet. No, okay. Keep them up. Sorry. We're done with this half of this half. Okay. So you all. Okay. Good. All right, we've got them counted? All right. Now we'll vote. Well, let's do the opposed. All right. All right. Ready? All opposed? All right, I think it's pretty clear. We can stop the counting. So the motion has been tabled. Thank you.
Resolutions, I'm going to give a little background that's formulated by the committee. Resolutions 1, 2, and 3 were likewise timely filed for consideration by this body. Each of them have significant importance to the parishes, as evidenced by the originators, who are the priests of the diocese. They are telling us that there are adjustments to the assessment policy which would assist them in managing the affairs of our churches in times of austere church budgets. Each of these resolutions deserve discussion before this body, but they involve adjustments to what is considered normal operating income, or NOI, used to compute assessments. It is the opinion of the Chancellor that these resolutions are inconsistent with the canons because convention does not have the authority to define what funds constitute normal operating income. Specifically, Canon 3, Section 2B1(2)B states that normal operating income is generally all sources of income used for the operating budget of the congregation. Council shall be responsible for establishing the accounting policy for determining normal operating income, timing of payments to the diocese, and required financial statements. While the opinion of the Chancellor precludes us from submitting them to you for a vote, the committee notes that there are intricacies in establishing them as policy that may better be served by handling it with a small group, to be completed with a report before the time to submit resolutions for Convention 2024, should such a proposal be made here today. I will discuss each of these proposals separately. I'll start with resolution number 1. Subject: redesignation of all capital repairs, maintenance, and upkeep expenses on mission, parish, cathedral buildings and grounds as non-assessable in the computation of the diocesan assessment in the Diocese of Idaho. Based on the opinion of the Chancellor that this resolution is not in accord with canons, we do not recommend its passing.
Okay, so thank you, Amy. Even though this resolution is not in accord with our convention, we do have an opportunity, if the body would like, to make a motion to refer this issue, this item, to Diocesan Council. And that would just require a motion, a second, there'd be discussion and a vote. Even though we can't actually vote on the resolution, we can vote and agree to send it directly to council. So moved. I guess there's a second. Second. All right, now, we're going to have discussion on that motion. That motion is to refer this resolution to Diocesan Council. And this resolution is the resolution on the capital expenses.
Correct.
Okay. Now, each person can come to a mic, introduce themselves, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
I guess since I motioned it. I'm Al from All Saints, and I would, my motion that this be moved to council for consideration, because I believe that, given that it was put forward as a resolution, and who it was put forward by, that it qualifies as something we would like our diocesan council to consider. So that is why I so moved.
May I speak as a delegate? Yeah. I would propose that the motion be tightened, if you will, that such a committee be assigned very promptly after the convention completes, and that it reports back to all of the dioceses at least by the end of May of 2024, so that subsequent action can be taken prior to the next convention. In other words, putting some time limitations to make sure that the process is timely heard.
Is that a motion? A motion to amend? So moved. Can consider it for next convention. No. Okay, hold on a second. She is recommending, Amy is recommending an amendment to the recommendation, okay? Giving it time constraints, so that to ensure that the matter is dealt with in a timely and effective manner. So that motion to amend has been put forward. I know people jump to it, but let me just call. Is there a second?
Second. Do we have a specific date? She said May. Do we have a specific date?
May 31st.
May 31st. Any further discussion around that amendment? Yes, Anna.
So I was just wondering about the committee that's already been assigned to look at assessments. Is this something that could be part of that, rather than having separate committees to look at all the issues? Because they're going to report back to Diocesan Council.
Yeah, I would think that that would be under the preview of this specific committee. That is.
So there would be multiple committees, or this is a separate, would be appropriate to have a separate committee? It seems like these are all issues with the assessment. Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up, Emily. Because we are dealing with the same issue on the assessment, whether it is on all three issues, I had already announced a task force to study and report back by the 31st of May 2024 to the Diocesan Council to be able to come up with a resolution at the January 2020, the convention of 2024, with a resolution from the findings of this task force. And the date is already been assigned and people have been appointed. And there are other people who are, if they are willing and wanting to do, can come and join in that as well. So this could very well be added to that committee's role as well. Am I making sense?
Yes,
Okay.
but it would be under this particular time frame,
Yes.
as this resolution is
Right.
indicated.
Right.
Amended resolution.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay.
It is actually at the same time frame, yes.
I just want a discussion on clarification. It was my understanding that Al Borg-Born made a motion just to give this basically as to council, and that was it. And then Amy made a motion about putting a time frame, I'm assuming on council, to address this first resolution. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make that clear because I think there's
It's
confusion
just
on
one
what we're doing.
motion, though. It's
So
just
right
one
now, we
motion.
just have a motion on resolution number 1 to send it to diocesan council.
Within those time constraints
Within-
added by
Correct.
Amy.
Thank you.
Okay? Well, we haven't voted on it yet. We're just discussing the amended motion, which is to send it to council. Yes, that's right. The motion's been amended. All right, so now we're going to take a vote. Oh, no. We have more stuff, sorry.
Megan Demby, St. Stephen's. I would like to speak to the idea of, that was brought up, of moving this to the task force rather than diocesan council, and I would like to speak against that. As diocesan council are our elected representatives, and I would like it to be diocesan council, therefore, that looks into these resolutions.
Any other comments? All right, then we're going to come to a vote. Okay, and what we're voting on is an amended resolution that is... I'm sorry, the amendment to the resolution to pass this to council within the time frame.
We have to vote on the amendment to restrict it first, to change the resolution, and then we vote on the resolution if we approve it, change it.
Within the time constraints. Yes, if it's approved. Yes, thank you. Takes a village. All right. In this case, all in favor will be green, opposed will be red. All in favor?
Got it.
Before we count, let's just, given the number of green, let's just quickly show the red, because I think it'll be evident. All opposed?
No.
None, okay. Passes. Yes. Now we come back to the original motion, to refer this to council. All right, is there any discussion about that?
Matt Murdoch, Senior Warden, St. Paul's. I think for the benefit of all, if someone could, with clarity, really state the motion that we're voting on. Because like some people think it's going to task force and some people think it's going to council first. I thought it was going to the task force to go to council. So I think.
So when it was spoken, a motion was never actually made to direct it to the task force. Right now, it's going to council.
Right.
That's what's being discussed. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, is that clear? Yes.
I know this is probably a stupid question, but if it goes to council, is there any reason that it couldn't be then said, okay, this is more properly the business of the task force, and have the council then move it to the task force? I mean,
That's up to council.
It's up to council.
because it's going to be up to the council to decide where it's going to go.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, and we'll come to a vote. Yes. You want to read the resolution again, Amy? The motion. The motion? The motion. The motion is to refer this to council with time constraints.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is that the resolution number 1, the substance of it, be referred to council for consideration upon completion of this convention with a report to return to be published by May 30th or 31st, say 31st of 2024.
Okay, all right. Again, we'll use greens.
John Parisi, St. Francis, and Senior Warden there. And I would like to know what the relationship between the task force and the council will be. Who would have oversight of, is it meant that there's the council oversight to the task force? Is there any directive that the task force will be following from council and vice versa? It seems that the roles aren't distinguished at this point.
It's
Because you
it's council's responsibility to deal with the motion at hand.
Right.
The task force may be used by council, but it will be under the purview of council. It's council's responsibility.
That's a canon.
And it's my understanding that it is council who would make the ultimate decision to be
Correct.
released by May 31st of 2024, so that all of the diocese would understand what the reasoning was and what the decision was.
Right.
So the way I'm understanding it is that the council is a second layer of,
No, it's the primary layer.
Primary layer.
Primary.
It's the primary layer, and the task force is going to.
but we haven't added the council. So
We did.
we're adding a second layer.
No, the motion's being to send it to council.
Right, but there's no council at this point.
The diocesan council-
Not with respect to this resolution,
Yes.
right? So what we're talking about is a task force
No,
being with oversight.
excuse me, sir.
So we have a diocesan council that meets 4 times a year.
I understand.
Okay, and that's where this resolution is going, is to diocesan council, the standing diocesan council that has elected members. If diocesan council chooses, they may refer it to a committee for, say, more research. Perhaps they have questions, perhaps they wanted to look into something. That's up to diocesan council. If they so choose to appoint this committee or task force, that task force reports back to council. Council makes the decision. The decision is in council's hands.
Yeah.
And there's no new council just for this resolution. It is the diocesan council that receives this resolution if so voted by this body.
Yep.
Just taking a minute to make sure nobody else is going to step up to the microphone. All right. Now we're going to take a vote. Green will be in favor, red will be opposed. All in favor? I think it's
clear.
Okay, now let's put those down. Those opposed, please vote. Passed.
All right. Thank you all. Let us move now to resolution number 2. The subject reads, exemption of undesignated gifts from diocesan assessment if designated for and deposited in a capital reserve fund or endowment fund within 30 days of receipt until used for operating expenses. Based upon the opinion of the Chancellor that this resolution is not in accord with canons, we do not recommend its passing.
Okay, before we begin discussion, again, as in with the last resolution, convention does have the opportunity to pass this for consideration, pass a motion to send this to council for consideration. Right? Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Right? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, now would you like discussion?
Sean Wall, St. Michael's, writer of said resolution. What I would ask the convention to consider is voting against the motion to refer to council, and rather, we cannot make a motion yet because there's one on the floor, but I move we challenge the chancellor's opinion about this being in reference to normal operating income and bring it to the floor for discussion. So I call the question on the motion to refer to diocesan council.
There hasn't even been a motion. Oh, that's right, sorry. Okay, sorry, apologize. Yes.
So looking at our diocesan canons, there is a specific provision that says normal operating income is generally all sources of income used for the operating budget of the congregation. Council, that's diocesan council, shall is a legal term meeting a requirement, be responsible for establishing the accounting policy for determining normal operating income, timing of all payments to the diocese. and
Point of
required
order.
financial
This is not
statements.
in regard to the motion on the floor.
I thought you asked for, you
No,
wanted
I
to-
asked for us to call the question on the motion on the floor, which is to refer to council. And then when that has hopefully failed to pass, then we can have a question about whether or not this is admissible on the floor for discussion.
Okay, that's fair.
I think,
At this point, the motion is to refer it to processing council, that's been seconded, that's what's up for discussion.
Okay.
And he's said that we,
Be called.
that we denied.
right.
Against it.
Are we all clear? Let's, okay, exactly, so let's walk through this. There was a motion made to refer this matter to council. That motion was seconded. Open for discussion. Dean Sean Wall came forward to speak against that motion. And now we're in discussion.
I believe I called the question and it was
Call the
seconded.
question. So it doesn't have to, there has to be a second in order to.
So we call the question, there is no further discussion as to whether or not this motion to refer resolution number 2 to diocesan council should be passed or denied. So if we call if someone seconds the call to question, then there is no further discussion. So if anybody wants further discussion, that will be stopped if there is a second to his request to call the question.
If there was a second to his call to question, which there was, that means there's no discussion and we go to vote. Are we clear now? All right. All in favor? Okay, that will be a green card. All in favor of
Referring resolution
resolution-
number 2 to diocesan council. That's what we're voting on.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Let's get a count. Okay? We got this? All right. Now, all those opposed? All right, 1 minute while we tabulate. They tabulate. So it's passed. It's been referred to council.
Jonah, is this within the same time guidelines as the?
That was not indicated in the,
Okay.
we have a fourth resolution, don't we?
Well,
Yes,
that's actually resolution number 3.
3, but the fourth of the, yeah, okay.
The subject, redesignation of all costs associated with the provision of employee health care as non-assessable in the computation of the diocesan assessment in the Diocese of Idaho. Based on the Chancellor's opinion that it is not in accord with canon, we do not recommend passing this resolution.
All right. Again, if convention would like, they can refer this item to council as well.
I would like to move to refer this item to council and to receive a report on it on May 31st, 2024.
There you go. All right, we're getting it. All right, sounds like there was a second. All right, okay. All right, let's just come back to this if we can get through this. All right, now it's open for discussion. Would anyone like to speak? All right. Call to question. All right, all those,
We got a second.
we need a second to that.
We got it.
Oh, we did, okay, thank you. All right, all in favor, again using green, refer to council
The report.
with the report by May 31st. All right. Yeah, all those opposed? All right, it passes. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Wonderful job. Now, Bishop, do you want to speak? You want this? You or this? Which one? Okay. At this time, Bishop Jose will speak.
My dear sisters and brothers, this has been a long day, and I think we will end the convention long before we anticipated this to be. I want to thank our Jonah Kendall, Very Reverend Jonah Kendall, and Reverend Leah Colbert. A few years ago, when I was doing the 5th unit of clinical pastoral education at Cristo Santa Rosa Hospital in San Antonio, Texas, we went for a pottery retreat. I had never seen a potter before and did not know what it took to make anything ceramic or any sort of an artwork. I watched the potter make a cup and realized making a small little cup is not easy. And you saw that what Paula Dodd did with 280 little cups and pots that she made. When my turn came as I sat on the bench to spin the wheel, the teacher said, "Jose, spin the wheel slowly and hold the clay gently. Remember, the strength of your touch will define the cup. If you don't, the clay will throw itself off the wheel, it will bend, will not come out as you intended it to be." What he said told me to make it beautiful work of art, I hold it carefully and hold it gently. Then the teacher said the potter's heart and hands need to be aligned to the outcome he dreams of before it goes into the fire. I remember this moment when I sat at the wheel again in February at the House of Bishops in Birmingham, Alabama. Potter and the clay are deeply connected to each other. These retreats speak to me often in everything I do. When I write music, my temptation had been to fill every measure with music as fast and full as I can, until a Hollywood composer told me, the best music comes out of silence. And silence itself is music, when it is well placed in the middle of musical notes and noise. And that made perfect sense. We as a diocese are still being molded, and I don't think we will ever be done until we rest in God. That's words of St. Augustine. Until we rest in God. Here on earth, we are molded for a season. The seasons depend on our age, our understanding, our health and our wealth, our dreams and hopes. The potter sometimes starts over, as he told Jeremiah. He has to crush the solidified earth and add water and work at it until it becomes gooey smooth. Molding is easy compared to being crushed and remolded, especially if we are molded in a certain way. Nothing is bad or wrong, just different. Different is not bad. Rather, it calls for change, or maybe better said, growing. We are all leaders doing this every day. You bring up your children and make them productive citizens of the land. Then they grow up, break the mold, reconstruct it, and new life begins again. And we watch it. A rector is called to a church, and what does she do? Refocus, construct, reconstruct, and when needed, dismantle to make new moldable clay. I hear God inviting us to look deep within and do the hard work of constructing, reconstructing, dismantling, and building up what needs to be built. In dismantling and reconstructing, we use the same clay. We don't throw them out. Meaning build or rebuild on what had been done. 16 months ago, when you took me in, I dragged my feet, kicked and screamed, thinking if I was doing the right thing by saying yes to this call. While I should have no reason to doubt your judgment or God's call, my fears of this responsibility weighed me down, and I asked God in prayers for several nights, now what? 16 months later, I believe God called me here for a reason. I'm not dragging my feet anymore. But I'm going to take it slow and take it gently and very carefully, that is to spin the wheel carefully but gently, slowly and also deliberately, so that the 10 years from now, we become healthier and even more vibrant vessel that will hold greater dreams, deeper hopes, and transfigured community. We do it together. If we do it well, the next bishop of this diocese will have an easier job, or else she or he will crush the clay and start all over again. This calls us to be deliberate in what we do. So, see, we are sitting with the potter at the potter's wheel as the lump of clay. The potter is Christ, and we are the clay. When Paula Dodd suggested this theme last year, it felt the natural progression of the theme we talked about last year, Rebuild My Church. And I loved it. We may be a small diocese. We may be financially poor diocese. But what we sure are not is a sterile diocese. Let me assure you, we are not lazy, lethargic, lofty, or legalistic. That's what I found. As your bishop in 365 days, I have spent over 387 hours in my car, driving over 16,000 miles on weekends alone to meet you where you are. You have heard me speak often about Placerville. That's because with the 26 people in town, Placerville is an anomaly in the Episcopal Church. On a high holiday, Emmanuel Placerville has 55% of its town come to the Episcopal Church. Let's look at Calvary Jerome. With an 8 average Sunday attendance, the highest multicultural community attendance in this diocese, and that is 2 under the age of 40. Do we have potential there? You bet we do, and I want all of us not to be afraid of giving responsibility to those who are considered subclass of American society and immigrants. God is molding us, and they deserve a round of applause. I learned that the Idaho Falls Soup Kitchen in our building has served over 1 million meals. A new school at St. Luke's, over $150,000 worth of renovation. Please, Idaho Falls people, including Mother Leah, please stand. Now, here is a number that we haven't heard. Our impact in the state of Idaho in a year is worth over 150,000 people. If we counted every person coming to worship on 52 weekends, we had 51,064 times someone prayed with us on a Sunday morning. One way or another, we are in the lives of people, starting with the governor of Idaho, to each one of us sitting here every day, including the hungry and the poor. I'm proud of each congregation, including the tiny churches with 4, 5, 6, 7 average Sunday attendance, because each person's contribution is almost the same percentage of the giving as the larger churches. Think about that for a minute. Nobody is bigger or better. We work together, big or small. I would like you to, when you go home, look into that beloved community report. No small church is less than the big churches. We are one church, big or small, rural or urban, on the hill or in the valley. We are one church and one foundation in Christ. Now, look at it from another vantage point. The tiny congregation of St. Paul's, Blackfoot, has the youngest, newest member of this convention. Please stand. And you too, Abby. You too. Want you to get up. Thank you. Epiphany Arco, with 5 average Sunday attendants, served food to over 1,000 people in a town of 900 plus people. All Saints Boise, with its free medical clinic and partnering with St. Vincent de Paul, serving more people than we know. All Saints. And there is no church in the country that has more creative ideas than Grace Nampa. I can go on and on about each little and big church. We have 4 people in the High Desert School for Ministry, and I'm excited. There is another 5 or 6 more next year. We have several more in discernment. Our clergy is stepping up to serve even more. And they deserve more support and stipend. I would like all of our clergy, please stand if you can for a minute, and those who are going to seminary. Could you please stand? All of our clergy. Our camp is projected to end in black in 2023. Megan and Caitlin, Paradise Point Committee, and the Diocesan Council Finance Committee, along with our treasurer, deserve an absolute standing ovation for their hard work. We are moving towards not simply financial stability, but also spiritual strength, environmental stewardship, and numerical growth. We have much to celebrate and be grateful to God for being who we are. As I've often heard Father Dennis Reed say, brothers and sisters, let us get out of our scarcity mindset. And God has blessed us with abundance, and there is absolutely nothing to beat God's abundance. Nothing. We are at the potter's house. Believe it or not, we are in the hands of God every second of every day. Through good and bad, God is still molding us as God did to his people, the Israelite people, the enslavement, the exile, the wilderness, the famine, the plague, the sea, at the end, the promised land. Fire was part of it. At no point in that God was absent. Just all of them were anxious and afraid. God was not. God is shaping us every day in standing up for what is right, speaking the truth, proclaiming Christ in all we do. We are being shaped as Christ's own forever. I invite you to dream with God. Imagine the shape you want to mold yourself, your church, and your diocese to be. Then gather the earth, crush what needs to be crushed, add new water to make it the gooey clay, and then let us put it on the wheel and shape it with God, not without God. It would be wise for us to remember that there are no quick fixes to satisfy our fears, whether they are church growth, clergy shortage, or financial struggles. Wisdom lies in taking steps deliberately, turning the wheel intentionally, aligning our hearts with the outcome. I'd like us all to take heart what my pottery teacher said. The potter's heart and hands need to be aligned to the outcome he dreams of before it goes into the fire. God told Jeremiah, "Up on your feet, go to the potter's house. When you get there, I'll tell you what I have to say." So I went to the potter's house, and sure enough, the potter was there working away at his wheel. Whenever the pot the potter was working on turned out badly, as sometimes happens when you are working with clay, which we all are, the potter would simply start over and use the same clay to make another pot before actually it goes into the fire. God's heart and hands are aligned. Now we just need to be the gooey clay and accept the fact that we are gooey clay. Then God can put us through the fire to make us strong and shining like gold. There is nothing that will shine like gold until it goes through the fire. That's what I want to invite you to. And may God bless us, the Episcopal Diocese of Idaho, each one of us, and all that we do in this state in Idaho. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Well, this time I'd like to invite Terry Cheney to come forward to give a report on the courtesy resolutions.
Terry Cheney from Church of the Epiphany Arco. Thank you. Now? Is that on? I don't know. Speak right into the mic. Report of the Courtesy Resolutions Committee. Whereas the people of the Diocese of Idaho can adopt a cow for 4 quarters and a dollar bill.
Excuse me. Would you mind just coming up to the front? I think that'd be better. Thank you. Oh, is that right?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's my age. Okay, try this. I'll start over. Report of the Courtesy Resolutions Committee. Whereas the people of the Diocese of Idaho can adopt a cow for 4 quarters and a dollar bill, whereas Bishop Brian Thom has been called to freeze his butt off in North Dakota, We wish to remind him to take his jacket. Whereas there will be training for the altar guilds throughout the diocese. Whereas the kitchen staff, headed by Corinne Bush, provided us with great food. Whereas the endless possibilities for stewardship were presented by Amy Amison. Whereas we learned of the possibilities for ministries for those who are differently abled. Whereas the Episcopal sticker should be put on the inside of the back window of the vehicle, not on the windshield not on the windshield in front of the driver. Whereas we were blessed with poetry for our enlightenment. Be it resolved that we are grateful to Bishop Joseph Kimby, Bishop Brian and Ardell, Bishop John Thornton and Jan, Church of the Nativity and Jennifer Antonin, Carol Keller, the convention committees and commissions, and send greetings to our neighboring dioceses of Eastern Idaho, Utah, Montana, Spokane, Wyoming, and Navajo land. And so the convention of 2023 draws to a close, but we cannot let it go without a small bit of prose. We have visited, we have laughed, we have prayed. We have shared our views, some robustly displayed. We have hugged old friends and made new ones. We have been seated long enough to have sore buns. But we have done the Lord's work in this place, and we will take what we have learned of God's grace. But before we go, it is only right to offer our many thank yous. Be it resolved that the kind and generous people of Holy Nativity be soundly applauded. Be it resolved that all of the many hands that help do the work of this convention be applauded. And finally, be it resolved that all of the delegates and clergy and guests who shared their time and talent be applauded. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Bishop Jose, leave.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge two people, because this is something I am not the best person to go through the Roberts Rule and conduct a business and go through this process we went through. And it was incredible, a great blessing we have in two people who helped us to be on time, help us through the process, and then a parliamentarian to support the journey. I want to acknowledge three people with a standing ovation for their hard work and heartache that they went through in making this possible, and almost finished 2 hours earlier than we actually thought about it. So please stand. And to Jonah, Leah, and Lauren Murdoch.
Thank you, thank you. We are just about done, but I do want to invite Ellen Blackman to come up. She did share a word earlier about the convention offering, but we have the amount that was raised. So, Ellen, would you come forward?
We did.
We did that.
Yesterday.
We did it yesterday. We did. Yeah?
Is that for the cows?
I'm not sure.
We've been gifted $1,597.75. We're going to buy a few cows. That's really, thank you. Thank you.
In a parish that's contemplating using QR codes, what percentage actually came in on the QR?
Hey.
They're not counted.
Oh, we haven't counted them yet. Okay. Okay. So we could have more.
Yeah, we could have more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just.
How about we let you know? Yeah, we'll let you all know when we tabulate that for the final number and for the amount that did come in that way. Question. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yes. All right, friends. Well, it's 2:06 according to my watch, and so we will adjourn. But before we do,
Wait, there's something.
do we have something coming forward?
Something's coming.
I was going to make the IAF. Yes, okay. The break, which was to happen, was sponsored by IAF, so we're going to take this moment now.
And we have a really important thing that I know everybody wants, is the chocolate and the wine. And we have snacks available for everybody on the road, okay? So, we've got Tom McGrath from St. Michael's.
The final announcement.
All right, well, the final announcements are that we ask folks to remove all paper, water bottles, and personal items from the pews in the sanctuary. Remember to take your parish banners, your stands, help with taking down tables and chairs in the parish hall. There's also plenty of food if you'd like to take some with you. And the standing committee announcement of the 57th Convention 2024.
Where is
Joseph?
Joseph.
Supposed to say something now? Okay. Assuming they're re-electing me president.
You still have time, Vicky, to throne me. So we're going to be in Pocatello next year. Isn't that exciting? So we're really grateful that Bruce and Barbara Turner have been already putting in so much legwork on details of things. So thank you. So, yay.
And then finally, there is a box by the door for your lanyards. Please deposit them there. Thank you so much. And with that,
One more thing.
okay.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, come on up.
I'm Patty McGrath from St. Michael's Parish. And as a member of the laity, I want to express our gratitude to the clergy of Idaho and all who tirelessly enrich this diocese with the power and love of the Father. You've dedicated your lives to guiding us in worship, comforting us in times of sorrow, and teaching us the ways of overcoming life's challenges with love, understanding, and forgiveness. By how you live your lives, and not just your words, do we see the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Unloving service, unselfish devotion. They flow through you to each of us. Thank you from the laity of Idaho.
Finally, I'd like to invite Bill Brown to come forward and to lead us in our closing prayer. Let's stand.
Amid the joy and festivities that we've had and all that we have to be thankful for, we also are facing some real challenges in our world. Dear people of God, we are living in times of tension and despair among your people in your world. Help us to see your hand in the world around us to bring peace where there is only death and despair. Draw your church together, O God, into one great company of disciples, together following our Lord Jesus Christ into every walk of life. God, our Creator, when you speak, there is life and light. When you act, there is justice and love. As we leave this gathering of your people, may we go out into the world proclaiming your love and peace and justice. And in all that we do and say, may we show your love and be filled with your Holy Spirit. May it be so, and let us all say, Amen.
The 56th convention is adjourned. Go in peace.